Meet Peter Widener. In the year 1900, one of the richest men in all of America. This was his home, one of the largest houses ever built in this country. 110 rooms. Inside hung a private fortune in art. 14 Rembrandts, a Raphael, a museum in a private home. And then his family stepped onto the Titanic, and slowly, all of this began to fall apart. Today, Peter's palace is an abandoned ruin. Look at what it was. And what it became. So how do you build a house like this? It started in 1897. Widener gave his architect, a 29-year-old named Horace Trumbauer, a blank check and one instruction: build me the greatest house in the country. 3 years and $8 million later, it opened. Over $300 million in today's money. Indiana limestone laid over a skeleton of steel. 268 feet long, its own power plant, a swimming pool, stables, greenhouses, a polo field, 33 acres of formal French gardens, and 100 people whose only job was to keep it all alive. But Lynnewood was never only a house. It was a museum that happened to have bedrooms. Behind these doors hung a Raphael, a Donatello, a Bellini, works that today hang under guard, behind glass, in the great museums of the world. Widener kept them on the wall where he ate breakfast. Remember that, because every single one of these paintings would outlive the house that held them. To understand how a palace dies, you have to begin with one night at sea. The Wideners had money in the company that owned the White Star Line, the line that built the Titanic. In April 1912, Peter's son George, his wife Eleanor, and their son Harry boarded her for the journey home. Harry was 27, a quiet young man already famous for collecting rare books. By tradition, on that final night, the family dined with the captain himself. And then, the ice. Eleanor was lowered into a lifeboat and lived. George and Harry were not, and did not. 2 heirs of Lynnewood Hall went into the Atlantic that night, and the house never truly recovered. Peter Widener died in 1915. His son Joseph held the collection together for a while. But in 1943, Joseph too was gone. A year before he died, Joseph gave the art away to the National Gallery, 2,000 works. The masterpieces were saved. The house was not. In 1952, a seminary bought the palace for a fraction of what it cost to build. And slowly, to survive, they began to sell the house itself. The marble, the fixtures, the fireplaces, carried out room by room. Then the doors simply closed. For 25 years, Lynnewood Hall stood empty, without heat. Paint curled off the gilded ceilings. The French gardens vanished under weeds taller than a man. A palace built for 1,000 guests now heard only one sound: the wind moving through 110 empty rooms. By 2014, the cost to bring it back was $50 million. Most people who saw it assumed it would simply be torn down. But what if you could see it again? Not as it is, but as it was, and as it still could be. Watch the same rooms return. The ballroom, where 1,000 once danced, the great hall, the gallery full of light again, and the gardens blooming as they did a century ago. This is not a memory. With enough will and enough money, every one of these rooms could be real again. And the story is not over. In 2023, a preservation foundation bought Lynnewood Hall for $9 million and began the slow fight to save it. The full restoration could cost $100 million more. But for the first time in a generation, there are lights on inside. One of the last great palaces of America's Gilded Age, abandoned, stripped, and very nearly lost. It may yet come home. If this place moved you, there are others out there, forgotten, waiting. Subscribe and we'll bring them back to life, one ruin at a time.